Electronics collectors. This is Across the Dial. This is another one of these kind of lost and forgotten radios. I did one on a stereo recently, a Claricon. This is an Electrohome Creston. Now it's kind of weird. That looks like Crestor to me, and I have seen these. They're made in Kitchener, Ontario. This one doesn't say the name on the Electrohome sticker. I've seen them both Crestor and Creston. Never quite figured that out. And what's ironic about Electrohome, made in Kitchener, Ontario, formerly Finola, Plant 1, the original Electrohome plant, was just torn down last week in downtown Kitchener after sitting derelict for 30 years. And that's where these are made, and it's really not even that big a factory by today's standards. They made their own cabinets, Canada custom cabinets, made them, which was on Allen Street in Waterloo. My grandfather worked there. And they made their own electronics, and everything was made by hand on a moving assembly line. And this one here needed a lot of work. I got it for $20. It came from Quebec. And it actually had on the back top chiseled here, and it was actually Léger School, I forgot, École Léger, room 201 on the top. So it belonged to a school or to something, some kind of dormitory at the time. I plugged it in, turned it on, just got a hum. Of course the filter capacitors are completely gone. Let's turn it on and warm it up. Show you some of the parts. The 4-section filter capacitor, these are always shot. It's basically completely open, so there's no filtering. 4 sections. I replaced with a terminal strip and individual caps. And these are chock full of wax capacitors, paper and wax, which are all about useless. You've got to change them all. Another problem I find with these is the age is resistors. Anything that drops voltage is way off value. Some of these are almost twice their value. They always go to a higher value rather than short out. The worst ones are these small quarter-watt ones. They're just terrible. There was a 2 meg and a 1 meg in the ABC circuit that had intermittent opens. It would warm up and the radio would stop playing. So I replaced those. Then it came with a problem, and this is very typical of this era. The IF cans have silver mica capacitors, and I did a video on this a while ago, silver mica disease. I'm almost to the point now, whenever I do a radio that's over 50 years old and has these type of IF cans in them, I replace them. In fact, I've got one to show you here. It's this style. They're made different brands. I think this one's an Armico or something. So what you basically got is 2 inductors. So there's basically an IF transformer, 455 kilohertz. And there are wafer capacitors here, which I've taken out on this one. This came out of a part set. And then you replace them with external capacitors. You can use either mica, ceramic, or fine too. Makes no difference. Has it playing well though.
The ability to grip the road and stop is like 40%. It's a huge...
Oh my God. You tell me a medical condition, you have a drinking problem.
Actually, my LED work light makes a lot of static.
Deteriorated. That's why you haven't been...
2 4-inch speakers here mounted on wood.
Only in here.
It's a 6-tube radio, so it has an tuned RF stage, 3-gain capacitor, metal chassis, point-to-point wiring. Kind of interesting, the cabinet on these was not stained, it was actually lacquered. So what they did is they used a spray lacquer. They very quickly finished these back in the day. So they're solid color, you don't really see much grain. It was in bad shape. I sanded the whole thing down and I just used spray lacquer. And it had this kind of brownish red, and I found a very similar brownish red in Krylon. And cleaned it up, painted, and it looks really nice. You know, some people will refinish these and bring out the grain, but that's not how they looked originally. These are department store radios, and they're more of a budget line. But interesting thing, here it is. These are made 1949 to 52. Here's still going strong.
You're going to have even years, all right? And the employer doesn't get to decide how many.
So if you see an Electrohome, some of them are labeled Electrohome. The earlier ones, before I believe 1948, are labeled Finola. And then you get the later ones that are labeled Roland. Now Roland was a New York electronics maker, but there's actually Canadian label Rolands made by Electrohome. So instead of Electrohome, say Roland twin speaker, and they're actually different than the Roland ones. Some of the Roland ones in the late 50s, early 60s, they had gone to printed circuit boards, whereas the Electrohome version will have a metal chassis and be point to point. It'll have the Electrohome chassis side of it. So they're a little long-lived set. Anyway, thanks for watching and listening.